One of the first probably controversial things that I'm going to say is that in all of this, we don't need to put your children first. We actually need to put you first. Now, I know that might seem a little bit counterproductive by saying, oh no, hold on, you need to put the kids first in all of this because they are the priority. And yes, absolutely, they are a priority. But ultimately, if you don't focus on yourself, then how are you going to be able to parent effectively then to your children? And again, if you think about the aeroplane analogy, and I use this a lot with my clients, you know, if you're in a decompression on an aeroplane and those oxygen masks fall down, who do they say to put the oxygen masks on first? They don't say, anybody that you are with, protect them first and put their oxygen masks on. They say to you to put your own on first. And they do that for a good reason. Because ultimately, if you don't put that on, what good are you going to be to your children if you put oxygen masks on your kids, but you are no longer there? You're dead because you can't function anymore. And it's exactly the same in this scenario. I see so many mums and dads who feel like they are being selfish if they put themselves first, and they have to absolutely focus all their attention on their children to heal and recover because they've come from a broken home now, and I must protect my children in all of this, and I will do every single thing I possibly can. Yet you inside are feeling lost, you're feeling broken, maybe you're suffering PTSD, CPTSD, depression, anxiety, or self-harm like myself as well. And what you need to be doing is focusing on you. And I want to ask you a question right now, and I want you to answer it honestly. You are your children's mirror. You are their role model. So how you feel right now, are you happy if your children feel and act like that now too? So if you're feeling really angry, you're feeling really, really sad, you're making no effort on yourself to heal and recover, but you want your children to make sure that they are happy, they recover. I don't want it to affect them. So you're doing everything you can to do that for them, but you're not doing it for yourself. Because let me tell you, your children will mirror your behavior. They will look to you for guidance in how to deal with somebody like this. Now, they may be young right now, and they may not even be recognizing, obviously, that their mum or dad has narcissistic personality tendencies. And ultimately, you know, this is just a label of the person. This is all about how you feel, how your children feel, and they will come to their own decisions. And I see too often where a parent wants to scoop up and protect their children, which I get to a point, but what we need to do is we need to do a lot of inner work. We need to work on ourselves, because ultimately by doing that, our children will mirror our behavior. And it is far better for you and your children in the long run for you to empower them to know how to deal with their mum or their dad than you constantly doing that. Because all that is going to happen in that scenario is you are going to create either codependent children or potentially narcissistic children as well, because they are going to follow that cycle of abuse because they are either put on a pedestal or you are totally focusing on them. And all they are going to see is a parent whose happiness relies upon them, whose life revolves around them. And that then as they get older, they'll think that that's normal. That ultimately what we want to do as parents is we want to guide our children to move from codependency to independency. And those of us that have been in narcissistic relationships, we will be codependents and or empaths too. I was a codependent and I am an empowered empath. So for me, I was a magnet to narcissists. But for me to really heal and recover and really parent effectively to my two children, I had to go from within. Because initially, following the 2 years after I split up from my ex, I was purely focused on my children. I was purely focused on my ex. If only he'd behave like this, if only he would do that, if only he would, you know, see them and do activities like this, things that I didn't agree with. And all I was doing in that was trying to control all of these things that I had no control over. And actually the number one thing that I had control over was myself healing and recovering from within, really delving deep to find out why was I attracted to somebody like that, to heal my inner wounds so that I knew that moving forward I wouldn't make those same mistakes again and find myself in another toxic relationship or another toxic friendship with a narcissist. So I want you to really, really look at yourself right now and think, what are you doing for you? How are you healing? Are you so focused on your children that you're forgetting about yourself? You're not doing any physical activity and you don't have any meaning to your life. Maybe there's not much positive emotion or engagement. What kind of goals are you setting yourself? What's your health like? How are you eating? Are you sleeping well? Because if you're not mirroring all of those aspects, how are your children going to be able to mirror all of those aspects too? So the first thing I want you to think about is, what are you doing for you? That's not you being selfish. This is you being the best role model possible, so that when you know your ex is a narcissist, you are going to be the opposite end of the spectrum. You are going to show them what self-love is all about, because you have been a codependent being in the relationship with a narcissist. So codependency, or affectionately termed self-love deficit disorder, you need to show your children that self-love is a priority for them, which means it needs to be a priority for you. This isn't children love. They need to see self-love. Okay, because the more they see you loving yourself, that you value yourself, guess what? They're going to do exactly the same. They're going to realize that they can build up their own self-confidence, their own self-esteem, so that then when there's an issue with the other parent, they are going to have a voice with all of that, because they feel like they matter, because they love themselves. And we're teaching them to go from codependency to independent. And that's the goal for us as a parent. We need to empower them. But we need to be that mirror. We need to be that role model in all of that. So I just want to give you some strategies as well. How does it work when the kids are going and the kids are coming back? Because this is a question I get asked a lot as well. Because ultimately, on the handover, you might find the children, dependent on whether you are the mum or the dad, it can be a really, really emotional time. Maybe the kids are crying, maybe they don't want to go. And this is again when you need to look from within. Are you making the situation worse? Yes, I get you need an outlet for the anger, for the hurt, for the frustration, but we mustn't direct that when it comes to our children. Yes, we need the outlet to process and go through that grieving cycle when we're going through a divorce and breakup, but we do not want to put our children right in the middle of all of that. They need to be at the centre, at the heart of your breakup and divorce, not slap bang in the middle, feeling like they're being pulled from either direction. You can do this by keeping it really light, by keeping it really fun, not quizzing them about, I wonder what you're going to get up to, I wonder who your mum or dad's going to be with. You know, by asking those questions, that is bordering on emotional abuse to your children, because ultimately you're just being nosy. And I know it's really hard, and I get it, because we want to know what's going on, and I do understand that. But you have to let go of all of that. You can't control what your ex does with your children. As long as there are no safeguarding issues, which is obviously something you might need to take into consideration, but then you need to contact the relevant authorities with all of that. But ultimately what you need to think about doing is, don't have any control over that. What you have control over is the environment before they go and the environment when they come back, and what you do yourself when you don't have your children. Okay, that's what you have control over. So many times I see people trying to control what their ex is doing with the children, and you will drive yourself mental trying to do all of that, because you know what it's like. You try and tell your narcissist ex to do something, they're deliberately not going to do that because you've suggested it. You could be suggesting the best thing in that scenario, but because you've suggested it, they're absolutely not going to do that. So bear that in mind. You know, let go of all of that. Let go of the fact you are going to have no control over what goes on with your children when they are with your ex-partner. And the moment you do that, you can start to release some emotion then. You can start to realise the power and control you do have is in the environment before they go, and then when they come back. So for instance, before they go, it's very light, have a wonderful time. Tell them what you're going to be up to. You know, when you're going, mummy's going to be going to get her hair done, or I've got this I'm doing, or that I'm doing. By nature of you doing that, what you're doing is you're blessing and releasing them that they can go and have a good time with their mum or their dad, which is what you want. I know you might not think it's what you want, because sometimes we might think, I don't want them to go and I don't want them to like going. But believe me, the best thing for your children's mental health is that when they go, they have a good time with the other parent as well. I know it can be challenging if they don't, and I'll talk about that in a second. So we've kind of eased them into going. They know that you're going to be okay. You're not going to be pining for them. You're not going to be really, really lonely. You've got a life, and they're going to see that. They're going to see how much you love them, but they're going to see that you value yourself enough that you are carving out a new life as well. So then they go off. So do that. When they are with your ex-partner, live a life. What hobbies could you take up again? What friends could you meet? All of this social connection is going to be really important with your healing, so that you don't feel like your life is just work and your children. That's not healthy. You need to carve yourself a life out there, laughing again, having fun again, realizing there's a whole big world out there as well. And just because you had the misfortune of marrying a narcissist doesn't mean you then can't go on and live an incredibly happy life. Yes, you're going to have this thorn in your side, but that's all it is. But if you learn how to deal with all of that and heal, believe me, and I'm speaking from experience here, 9 years down the line now, I still get emails from my ex. It means nothing to me, and my children are so happy, so well balanced. They have a relationship with their father, but they know that I am here, I'm secure, they are loved, and I work on their self-love. They see me having a life as well, because that's the biggest gift that you can give them. So then when your children come back, again, sometimes they can be upset about something. Maybe they don't want to tell you if they've had a good time. So all of these things, we as the adult in this relationship need to address that. So when they walk in, lots of cuddles, lots of kisses, that they've been missed, that they've been loved. But what we also want to recognise is that you've had a good time when they've been away. So what I would suggest is when they walk in, you say, right, I can't wait to hear what you've been up to this weekend, but just let me tell you what I've been up to. By nature of you telling them that you've had a good time when they've not been there, allows them to feel it's okay to tell you that they've had a good time. Or that they haven't, but the door is open to do that. If the moment they walk in, you start quizzing them, where did you go? What did you do? Who was there? They're going to feel tied, because although you might have those feelings about your ex-partner, they're still their mum or their dad. So you need to be really, really careful. Do you want to get back at your ex here, or do you want to be the best parent that you possibly can? Because sometimes those lines can get blurred. And I told you this was going to be a raw video for you. And it's honesty alert. How are you behaving in all of this? And it's taking responsibility for that. And it's not getting at anybody here. It's just me wanting to help you recognise that, yes, you can feel angry and cross and upset and sad and depressed. Yes, and we process that. Different outlet for your children. So they might come in and you've told them then what you've been up to, and then you might say, what have you been up to? They can tell you, and then don't give it loads of airtime. Then just say, who wants a hot chocolate? Or should we go and watch our favourite programme on the TV? Move it on. If they're upset about something when they come back, give them the airtime, allow them to have a voice, but ultimately never lie for your ex. Never make excuses for your ex. Just always say, if they've come back and said something, say, do you know what? Mummy loves you, and I'm here for you. That's a question you need to ask your dad next time you see him, or the other way around, whether it's mum or dad. Because ultimately by doing that, you're not lying for them. You're not getting into a back and forth. You're not messaging your ex straight away about anything, unless there's safeguarding. I do get that. But if it isn't, and it's just going to be back and forth, or something's happened, remember, kids are going through a transitional period here, and they're looking to you, whether it's acrimonious or whether it's calm. And if you're being really calm all the time and not really upping the ante with all of that, your kids will be the same. Yes, it's going to be a rocky road. There will be bumps along the way. But out of all of this, you can be the one that can be the guiding light through all of this and help dial down those emotions. You can be the opposite end of the spectrum. You can be the secure person, the loving person, the one that your children feel safe talking to. If you ever wondered why they cry to you, if you ever wondered why you're the one that seems to get the brunt of everything, it's because they feel safe with you. And that's what you want. What you don't want to do is stop bad-mouthing your ex or asking them a ton of questions, because then they're going to start to shut down. And believe me, as they move into teenage years, you want to keep that door open. You really want to be focusing on their mental health, that they have a voice, and that obviously there is an outlet for that. And even though it's about their dad, who you are acrimonious potentially with, it's still okay for them to love them. It's still okay for them to like to go. So I hope that's really helped you a little bit with the kind of before they go, during, when they come back. The biggest lesson that I want you to take from this video today is that for you to minimize the impact on your children of your ex-narcissist, you need to work on you. You need to be proactive in your healing. So I hope that's really helped. If you want to know more about how to heal from narcissistic abuse, I have a brand new online program called the Planner Program, The Positive Life After Narcissistic Abuse. I've put all the details in the comments below, so you'll be able to see. If you want to come over and join my Facebook group, Divorce and Breakup Support After Narcissistic Abuse, again, I've popped the link in below as well. And if you want to talk to me about maybe how I can help you on a one-to-one basis, then I've put my free consult form below too, where we can jump on the phone, we can have a chat to see how I can help you as well. But I hope that's been really helpful. Remember, your children's mental health is in your hands. The more you can practice self-love, self-compassion, raising your self-esteem, your self-respect, they will look to you to mirror your behaviour. So if you want to be the best role model possible, be the person you want your children to be. And that's the best bit of advice that I can give you. So don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of these videos that come out as well. And I will see you all really soon.